Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
A new year is upon us, and the road ahead is looking strong, while the face of this little program changes forever. So welcome back to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker. This is episode 140, and on today's show, we're taking a look at the year to come, the World of Warcraft 2024 roadmap, and what kind of ride we might be in for. But first, about a week ago, I teased something big. Something big was coming to Unshackled Fury in the sort of stupid, goofy way that I tease these kinds of things. And if you are looking at the episode description, if you've already downloaded this, you already know what the big announcement is and what I'm going to say. But, fuck it, it's my show, and I'm going to go through this whole monologue anyway. So, as most of you know, listened to the show long enough, there's been sort of eras of this show. There was the initial launch of the show, which I did for a year, kind of figuring it out, just being very angry and ragey, and then I took a little break. Came back with Navox, and we had a hell of a run, the two of us, sort of like that second phase of the show, and I really think we found the voice and the footing of the show at that time. And then Nav took his leave, and then for the last couple years, it's been sort of phase 3, the bonus role, Warcraft Radio era, and been kind of trying to find new heights to climb to, and I think we did accomplish some pretty great things, especially in the last year, getting press access to BlizzCon and doing all the fun stuff there. And during that time, some of you know, and I do want to thank the one listener who reached out and offered to be my new co-host, and thank you for offering those services, and I apologize that I did not do the open tryouts that I promised. Most of you know that doing the show solo has not always been my preference, but I'm not exactly out here trying to, like I joked about, hold open tryouts or look for what the next thing is going to be. I knew if it was going to happen, it was always going to happen organically, and I had a very short list of people I thought, man, if it ever came together, if the forces ever conspired to help, if the planets aligned, whatever, that this would make a really solid combination. This would be something that we could do. But usually it was with people that either weren't involved in the community anymore, or had other things going on, or this and that. But one of the people that I was pretty top of the list reached out about a week ago and expressed interest in joining this ridiculous little program, and we had a really great conversation about a week ago about podcasting, about Warcraft, about kind of the scene in general, and about what the future could be. And so it is with immense pleasure that I introduce to all of you the managing editor at Windows Central, and now one half of the hosting superpower at Unshackled Fury, Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome to your new home, sir. Happy to have you aboard.
Hello. That was an awesome, epic intro, and I'm super pleased to be part of this new era of your illustrious show. I've been, since the old days, man. Warcraft Radio and just sort of the recognition that you and the rest of the guys have has been, it's a source of nostalgia for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if we can do something fun here, and lo and behold, here we are.
Here we are. By golly, we made it. We're crossing like 1,000 different time zones, and trying to sync up our lives, which is no small feat in itself. The fact that we're sitting here right now, I think, is fantastic. That we once again have found a way to match up our lives and our schedules, and crossing an ocean and a whole bunch of other stuff, that we're making this work. It's truly a global effort now, and what more could we ask, honestly?
Yeah, it can be really tough, like because I do other shows and stuff like that, and a lot of the action is happening across the pond in the United States. So oftentimes I find myself like having meetings at 2 a.m. to accommodate West Coast hours. So I'm familiar with the difficulties of time zones, but hopefully we'll make it work, and we'll see how it goes.
We're gonna make it work. First step into a new and larger and exciting world. Yes, we do try to keep things pretty lively on the side of the pond, for good or for ill. It's not always great, but we'll try to make it awesome. And so, in your honor, of course, we have to have an epic metal album of the week. And as I think we discussed when you first came on this show a year and a half ago, I believe it was like April of 22. You had mentioned that you had hailed from the land of Ozzy Osbourne. So I have to, for this one, pick the all-time Black Sabbath great, Paranoid, which came out September of 1970. I finally picked an album that's older than me, way older than me. I'm not even close to that old, but this is one of the most influential albums of all time, one of the most influential heavy metal albums of all time. And just like you, sir, one of the most influential podcasters in all the land. Granted, it's been with a filthy Xbox program, and now we're happy to have you on the Blizzard side of things.
Well, hey, Xbox owns Blizzard now.
Oh, so shit!
It's kind of appropriate, right? But yeah, I hail from the land of the West Midlands in good old England, the land of Black Sabbath and Judas Priest.
Was it required listening as a school child?
Pretty much. There's a strong metal tradition in the region.
Yeah.
And obviously, Ozzy and co have been quite instrumental in popularizing the regional accent and dialect. Yeah. Sharon kind of thing. It's kind of how my grandparents talk, right? I noticed that when I'm like podcasting with like Americans or people from other countries, I sort of unconsciously reduce the aggressiveness of my accent. I don't know why, because I want to be as clear as possible for the untrained ear, And a lot of people think like every sort of British person talks like Harry Potter. Or, like a southerner or something. But yeah, I don't know. Accents are fun, man.
It's only as an adult that I've really learned that the accents are different depending on the region, right? As a kid, you grow up in America and you're like, everybody from England sounds the same. And no, just like...
It's wild, man. It's every town, man. Every single town has its own accent. It's crazy. Like at school, you know, like that kid's not from around here. He's not from around here.
Getting outed by your accent alone. Well, well, there you go, folks. If you have never heard of this album, then I'm not even sure, frankly, what you've been listening to, because this one's one of the all-time greats. Has been covered, I don't know, a million times. But War Pigs, Paranoid, Planet Caravan, Iron Man, which I think is probably the one that even like my mom knows, and she, vaguely knows of Black Sabbath, I think. That's all like the side A stuff. That's the big stuff. But Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, great song. Rat Salad and Fairies Wear Boots, also another very popular song. It's one of the all-timers, and it's only like 40 minutes long. So if you've never listened to this back to back, just bang it out. Bang it out. Do yourself a favor. So Black Sabbath, Paranoid, it's your metal album of the week. Now, with Jez here, things are going to be new. Things are going to be different. Some things might change along the way. I don't know. But one thing that always stays the same, there is always plenty of rage to go around. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our favorite segment here, Let's Rage. And because I've got something that I think we've all experienced lately if you've been questing, and it just blows my mind. So let's get into it.
Let's rage.
So if you've gone all the way through the patch 10.2 questing up to this point, you have witnessed all the big hullabaloo and to-do at Amir Drasil. You've killed Barak, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe many times. Maybe you've gotten your Firaloth. Maybe you're still working on it. You've seen the, whole hoopla with the Night Elves and, we're reclaiming this land and it's all well and good and this and that. And now we're going to have a big party, right? There was a big party. I mentioned on our previous episode that there were some very interesting conversations happening between some of the people standing around. But I'm going to be honest. When I talked about it, I hadn't actually played through it yet. And so I didn't quite grasp the full situation that was at hand, because as I'm going through it, what kind of questing am I doing? I don't know. Am I helping to physically rebuild something like a structure? No. Am I putting out fire somewhere? No. Am I helping to defeat some other giant baddie that came swooping through at the last minute? No. I am waiting tables. I am a god killer. We are god killers. We have been to hell and back, quite literally. Think of all the things that we've done in World of Warcraft, and here I am taking a drink order from Kalagos to Khadgar. I mean, did they kill Farak? No. I believe it was my sword that was being thrust in, and I know it was yours too. But here we are, waiting table. Now clearing out the Spriggans, that's okay. That's a bouncer's job, and as a warrior, I am plenty happy to bounce some Spriggan's head off of my plate. No problem. But picking up plates and drinks, now it is a bit elitist, but I do think it is below a god-killing, world-saving, universe-altering character and player that we have been. Jez, am I crazy? Am I being elitist? Or is there a legitimate beef here?
Listen, man. Listen, right? We might be god killers, right? But also, World of Warcraft has a broad political layer to it, right? So it's not so much you're waiting tables and serving drinks. You are conducting in political diplomacy with other nations, especially if you're a Horde player, right? Because this is the tree we burned down technically. And there's still a lot of distrust about us. So when I was doing this as my goblin, I was kind of like, yeah. So I'm sort of sneaking in, maybe listening, overhearing some alliance conversations. Doing a little bit of soft espionage. They call it soft power, right?
Wait a minute.
Soft power.
Wait a minute. Are you a Horde main?
Yes, of course.
What have I done? What have I done? What have I brought on this show? Oh my God. Oh no. Not only have we united the East and the West, not only have we brought together Microsoft and Blizzard, oh my God, now there's a Horde co-host on this show. Jesus, what have I done?
Did you not know this? Did we not go over this?
What have I? Where is my vetting?
I'm a goblin man, bro.
No.
And I think that's why, like, in context, I was kind of like, I don't mind this. I'm also a warlock, so I'm like a goblin warlock, and I wasn't thinking like I should be fighting a demon or whatever. I was thinking like I'm gonna do a little sneaky little perusing of these case the joint. What are these alliance dogs up to? Are they as friendly as they make out? Are we really cool?
Yes.
Or should I be taking
we
notes?
Are the coolest.
For when we burn down this tree as well.
God damn it. I knew it was coming. Well, there you have it, folks. Maybe it is a little low on the scale of saving the planet, but perhaps a little bit of diplomacy, especially in this day and age, can go a long way. So maybe I've seen the light. All right. Well, with that, my new Horde companion and I are going to dive through the 2024 World of Warcraft roadmap. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our news? So as Blizzard is wont to do, right after I left for my winter break, took a month off. So really you only missed one show. Literally as that one is being dropped, they were like, oh, you know what's good? Let's put the 2024 roadmap out. So as is, I think one of the commandments for this show is you shall pretty much hear the newest news last on here. This one is a little bit old. People have had a chance to kind of mull the 2024 roadmap over a little bit, but we haven't done it on this show. God knows we haven't done it here as the new Berserker Jez duo superpower. So we're gonna go through it bit by bit, kind of tease out what we think is coming, what's good, what's bad, and different, whatever. And it's gonna start right away with patch 10.2.5 Seeds of Renewal, which when this episode drops Monday the 15th, it'll be the next day, January the 16th. So we're already plowing through into the new year and getting new content. So as we look into patch 10.2.5 Seeds of Renewal, we have several large items of importance. But for you, Jez, to kick it off, is there one particular aspect of this, half sub patch, whatever we call these things? Maybe you can come up with a better term for it than I. Is there one particular aspect of it that you're most excited about or jumps out to you the most?
I was thinking, is it a mini patch? But really, these mini patches have got quite a decent amount of content in these days.
Yeah.
Dragonflight's been really content heavy compared to at least what I remember, or at least maybe I'm misremembering, but I think in Shadowlands and even Battle for Azeroth, I felt like there were long periods where there was at least nothing I was that interested in doing.
Yeah.
I suppose with Warfront, with Battle for Azeroth, they kind of kicked themselves in the nuts. That's not the right expression. I was gonna shoot themselves in the foot, kick themselves in the nuts. Where did I get that from? Where did that come from?
I like that. I'd love to see somebody do that too. That's a hell of a move.
I was like, kick themselves. Wait, what? And then I was like, what do you kick? You kick nuts? It's late here, guys. Bear with me. Okay,
Took a heel right to the balls. Oh god.
Yeah. God, that hurt. But yeah, in this mini patch or mid-season patch or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think the bit of it that I'm most interested in is probably the retaking of Gilneas.
There it is.
Reason for that being is kind of what I said earlier, is how are they going to play this off? Because when I was leveling an undead through Cataclysm in Silver Pine Forest and into Gilneas, it was pretty much, the war between the Horde and Alliance was full on, and the Forsaken were there, resurrecting dead Alliance players, or NPCs, whatever, and spreading blight everywhere. And there was this quest in Hillsbrad where you smash farmers' heads with a shovel, and all this kind of really grim stuff, man.
Yeah,
they went hard in Cataclysm. They were like, we're going hard and we're going dark for Cataclysm. And Cataclysm had some really dark quests, especially for Forsaken, and especially at the expense of Gilneans. Often was the case. So I'm sitting there thinking, how are they going to play this off? Because I think one of the things that Blizzard's been really criticized for across Shadowlands, especially, was the sort of almost sweeping under the rug of the burning of the tree a little bit. It's kind of would people really be willing to turn the other cheek this quickly? Would people really be cool with the Horde this quickly? Yeah. And I kind of look at real life allegories to this, and and I know it's not real life, and video games have to operate in different timelines and stuff, but I kind of feel like that. If we're talking about lore and story integrity, there must be a better way to deliver these kind of heavy topics, because what Sylvanas did in Battle for Azeroth and what the Horde did by proxy was very heavy. It was very grim, and it was it was mature. It was mature writing, and at the time I was all for it. I was kind of like, yeah, this is awesome. It's World of Warcraft, you know, as a Horde player, I suppose. I was like, yeah, burn that tree, you know. And I thought it was badass, personally. But
It was a big
I was
move.
sort of like, it was a big move. And it got a load of people hyped about WoW again. And, like, friends were asking about it. It's like, oh, my God, they burned down the tree. And then the cinematics with the attack on the Undercity with Anduin and Sylvanas and Saurfang. I loved all of that, right?
Yeah.
But I suppose where it starts to fall apart is in the aftermath of that. Because all the characters behave in such an unnatural way, in an unnaturally forgiving kind of way. So, like, now with Chris Metzen back on board, and I kind of feel like Blizzard's trying to walk some of this stuff back because it's kind of like we went too far or something. I don't know what their thought process is, but I'm really intrigued to see like how they deliver that story, and will it seem ham-fisted? Will it be cheesy?
Yeah.
You know, is it going to be Disneyfied where it's like, oh, we all love each other now, you know? And because Gang Greyman was like one of the most, you know, aggressive characters,
Yes.
you know, against the Horde, and he's lost
Yes.
so much. He's lost
Yes.
his kingdom. He's lost family, and it's kind of like, are we really gonna try and make sense of Gen's, you know, characters switching up so quickly and stuff? And I know there's a good gameplay impetus for ending the war between the Horde and Alliance. So Alliance and Horde players can play together as the population of the game shrinks. I think like or shrunk over time. I think like having these sort of arbitrary barriers to playing with your friends it makes less and less sense from a business and a gameplay perspective.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like there's a better way to handle that gameplay element within the story, you know. So I'm intrigued to see where they take it, and that's personally what I'm looking forward to most. But what are you looking forward to most?
I'm with you lockstep on that. That is such a compelling situation and has been for a long time, because certainly as an Alliance player where I go back to kind of the history of like Lordaeron, where what an amazing capital city. I mean, Undercity I think is cool in its own right, but just Lordaeron, the history of that area, I'm a huge. I mean, you look at the ship behind me. I'm a huge Lich King mark. Like, I love all of that stuff, and so, you know, as an Alliance player, not having access to that unless I want to get, you know, my ass handed to me it's a little sad sometimes. And then you look at Gilneas, where when that was introduced in Cataclysm, I remember playing through it, doing the Worgen starting zone stuff, and it's just like, God, Jesus, what a beautiful city, and like what a compelling area this is. Like, let's do something with this. Let's use this. Let's make this more habitable in some way. And it's just been this kind of cast off dead area that, yeah, you use it for certain things, but like that could be a really cool, vibrant situation going on over there, just from like a gameplay perspective, having it as a port or having it as a place that players can do stuff in. So from like that perspective alone, I've always wanted to be able to do something with Gilneas, or more of something with it as time has gone on. But the Gen aspect, more than anyone, nail on the head, has been for the Alliance side. Fuck the Horde. We're not doing anything with them. Kill every bastard we see. Like, we gotta push. We gotta go. Don't trust them. Don't make peace. Don't do anything. And he's been in the center of these moments where like stuff is going bad. He's like, no, see, look, they're bad. They're terrible. Like, we can't do anything with this. And so to resolve that to a degree, to find out, you know, you get your, I assume it's the reclamation of Gilneas. I assume they'll get it back. I've looked at no data mining. I try not to look at any of that, so I think some people might know some things. I know nothing. But to get that back, to see that journey continue, especially knowing that Anduin will be back in the fold before too long, and the relationship between the two of them was always so close. And so where might that interplay come in later down the road if Gen is, I don't know, pacified to some degree? Although I don't know that I want to see a pacified Gen. I like him being all Worgen-y badass and just running around ripping shit up. I think that's fun. But what that play is going to look like, how that storyline is going to unfold, I think will be, you're right, a good litmus test of where we might be right now, as we continue to transition into later Dragonflight and then early War Within. You know, what is that kind of storytelling that we're going to have, where it has had trouble at many points balancing nuance versus smash you over the head with something, with, you know, trying to be a little more political or a little less political. You know, they're always trying to kind of find these little spaces, and for a lot of players this is a big one, because, and I know it's been talked about all over the place, but the way that the new Night Elf city is being handled, people are pissed. They're not happy about it. And so again, it's kind of like another one of these opportunities of, well, are people going to feel good about this? Are they not? I don't know. So how that plays out, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. It's the first thing I'm going to dive into if I can. Along with what I also think is going to be, for people like me who don't like other people, I mean, for people like me who don't play too many dungeons, the follower dungeons are going to be so welcome in my opinion, because I'll be honest, there's still some dungeons in this expansion I still haven't seen because I've purposely avoided them and I don't want to deal with it, and I just want to do my own stuff. So to get the chance to go back and kind of see that stuff, or to be able to, you know, farm for things or do that kind of thing on my own without having to worry about other groups. I love this AI tech. I love that they're working on it and that they're trying to kind of progress it. Will it get to the size of a raid? I don't know, but let's start it with a handful of dungeons and see what that looks like. So I'm pretty pumped about that one too. I think that's a game changer.
I think that would be really huge. I think like there's similar features in Final Fantasy 14, which has been like really popular with a more casual audience, and I don't think it doesn't take anything away from the more hardcore experience of it. I don't think you're going to be running Mythic plus 20 or higher with AI followers anytime soon. But like, if you are like, I could totally see like a just the base Mythic maybe, or like maybe up to like a plus 5 or something. I could totally see that being a viable option. Like, even if it's not like a full group, maybe it's like you can fill in I don't know, like a healer slot or a tank slot or something that often takes a long time to queue. Because if you're playing a DPS class and you want to play solo, it's really hard to get a group unless you've got a guild or you've got a pocket healer or a pocket tank and stuff like that. That's one reason like why, even though I play, you know, quite hardcore, you know, at least towards as head of the curve, you know, Keystone Master kind of level.
You're so hardcore.
Yeah, like hardcore. Like, you know, like I'm not pushing Mythic raiding or anything, but like I probably play more than most people would want to play a game like this. And also I'm in a privileged position where it's like my job kind of interweaves with having an excuse to play a lot of games, I guess, much to the chagrin of my girlfriend. But
you do have that advantage. That is true.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So like, if it's me, but even me as someone who does play a lot, whenever I make an ult, I always make it a healer or I make a tank, because it's like I don't have time to find a group as a DPS player, as like a solo player or whatever, as a, you know, because it's really hard, I think, to find a group as DPS because there's just way more DPS. So it's like, if I'm gonna make an ult, I wanna do things quick, which means I'll either tank or I'll either heal to get those groups more quickly. So this follower stuff could be a great way to mitigate some of those issues. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the kind of tech that I think we'll see more and more of from a lot of different games, as like some of these like these new AI models that they're developing for, you know, ChatGPT and graphics and stuff like that. This is where it can really have a positive impact on gaming without necessarily detracting from jobs or costing extra dev money that maybe could go elsewhere. You know, if like a language model can, you know, program and analyze the data of players and then produce something that's at least approaching a player experience, I think that'd be really cool. We'll see where it goes.
Well, and to that point of creating something new or trying something new for the other positions as well, like if you're a new tank or you want to try tanking, I mean, what better environment to learn that in when you don't have to worry about people dumping you or voting you out or yelling at you or whatever it is, learning tanking or healing. You're able to go in, grab a few of these AI dungeon followers and work your way through it and learn how to do these things without having that kind of anxiety, I guess. Because I know for me, as a warrior, I think it's expected that we have some sort of off-spec tank situation going on. I dare not touch it in public. Like, there is no way. I'm fury to the bone forever anyway, but I think if there was an opportunity to kind of play in that sandbox a little bit like this, it does open up some new avenues, and that could be kind of fun as you get a chance to see a few more things that maybe you didn't see before. Looking through the rest of the list here, the other big thing, and I mentioned it before, is the introduction of I'm going to say the Belemeth is the arms of the goddess. It's the new Night Elf city, essentially, and it's going to be fully explorable at this point. You'll see some of your favorite folks in there, like Jared Shadowsong, who, if you've read the books, you'll know a lot more about them. But this is the spot. This is the new Night Elf capital city. This is where people are getting all bent out of shape because it's not part of mainland Azeroth. This is out in the Dragon Isles. I've said it before, and I'll stick by what I said. I don't have a problem with this. I'm not a Night Elf main, so it doesn't affect me as much. I think it's a cool looking place. It has all of the, Emerald Dreamy vibes and all the cool stuff I liked about Teldrassil in that sort of way of that kind of a feeling. I don't know. Maybe as a Horde main, do you have a different sort of lens on this place? Do you think that the Night Elf players have something fair to complain about here?
Well, I kind of get where they're coming from, where, like, if you are someone who's like an OG Night Elf player, and the fact that it's not in that sort of nostalgic homeland of Darnassus and Darkshore and stuff like that, I kind of get it. And also like some of the the lore implications and whatever, and I suppose being disconnected from the mainland has a sort of psychological aspect to it. But like, what I'm this is the kind of trend that this is my headcanon about where Blizzard is going, and this isn't based on anything I know. But like, I kind of get the impression that Blizzard is systematically going through and revamping each starting area. So like, they're revamped Belemeth and that whole Emerald Dream Island. That could be a starting zone for a new Night Elf player now. And the next expansion, they're doing not War Within, the one after that. They're doing the northern, Midnight. They're doing the northern side of the Eastern Kingdoms. So that's like, potentially that could be a new starting zone for Undead, a new starting zone for Blood Elves, and then maybe some other race could like come in there as well. I mean, if they're gonna go as far south as Twilight Highlands, I don't know. They could do dwarfs too. Maybe there'll be a patch where it'll be like reclaiming Gnomeregan, because it's that's sort of Central Eastern Kingdoms ish. So maybe they just systematically work their way down and sort of revamp every starting zone for each race. Because one of the big issues I think Blizzard has with onboarding right now, onboarding new players, is that Exile's Reach is just lame. It doesn't. It's just lame. It doesn't give you the connection to your character fantasy that the old school starting areas did. Like, if I'm playing Undead, I get that fantasy of being in this undead area. It's dark and spooky and scary.
Come right up out of the coffin.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get any of that with Exile's Reach. You just get these lame, sort of weak, boring quests, and none of which are even relevant to today's storyline. So I really think, like, with when they are systematically revamping some of these areas, they're doing it because they are going to move towards creating a new player starting zones out of them. And it's something I constantly, when I do speak to people at Blizzard in the past, in interviews and stuff, I've constantly hammered this point home. It's like, I try to onboard friends into this game, and I can't do it with Exile's Reach because Exile's Reach is lame. And then they say, well, play characters. I'm like, but that's lame too, because the story's so outdated. You start seeing Garrosh Hellscream and stuff like that, and it just, none of it makes sense. So I think, like, turning those areas into evergreen areas with like low stakes threats, with characters that are localized and that aren't necessarily like a Hellscream or a Sylvanas or something like that. Something that's gonna sort of survive long term. I think that's part of why they're doing this. So I think like while right now, just to round it off, like if people are annoyed about Balameth right now and Night Elf players and stuff, I think it will make more sense down the line with what they're doing it, because you got to think, why else would they be revamping this zone? You know, people don't idle in Darnassus. They don't idle in any of the main city hubs. They idle where there's an auction house, you know.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've revamped this entire zone and also made it an instance says to me that this is going to become a starting zone, kind of like Exile's Reach is and was for Evokers. So we'll see what happens. That's my headcanon anyway.
There it is.
We'll see if my predictions come true in a few years. And we can revisit this episode and talk about it.
Well, you're touching on something that a lot of players have talked about over the years, which is a revamp of the old world. And it's something that every time we get to an expansion cycle, an announcement or whatever, people are like, oh, it's WoW 2.0, WoW this, you know, we're going to revamp this and that. And it does feel like, as they announced the World Soul Saga, kind of to your point, it is a bit of a piecemeal approach instead of like this overarching, let's just, you know, do the whole, you know, all of Eastern Kingdoms, all of Kalimdor, that they're taking, well, we're going to do this section, or we're going to do this area up here, or like we're going to do Northrend in some capacity or whatever that is. Like, I'm fine with that. I think that's a great way to go about it, because Lord knows the resources to redo any of these areas or to do new versions of these areas have got to be very intense. And so,
well, I tell you something, right? One of the reasons I came at this conclusion, and this is kind of like insider information or whatever. I spoke to someone at Blizzard about a year ago. Well, actually, I have no concept of time anymore since the pandemic. So this was like a year or two ago, something like that. It was fairly recently-ish. But when you just said to me the first time we podcast was with 2022, I was like, what? Really? I thought it was this year.
Yeah.
I thought we'd done 2 podcasts this year, so I have no concept of time anymore.
Yeah.
But fairly recently, like when I was, you know, complaining to someone at Blizzard about the whole Exiles Reach thing, and I was like, what we need is another Cataclysm style revamp with low stakes threats, something that can be evergreen content, and, you know, you don't have to worry about necessarily doing a full-blown story revamp on that stuff because you haven't used major characters in those areas. Like, there can always be a random centaur villain in the Barrens, or there can always be a random side quest that isn't such a incumbent on the wider plot, so it can be evergreen, right? And they said to me, we're doing something more than a Cataclysm revamp to address this. So, and I was like, what, WoW 2? And they were like, no. So, like, I was thinking, like, well, what could be more than a full revamp? And I was thinking, like, maybe the next few expansions, they're just going to work through each area and up-level them, you know, in the sort of same way that you can consider the Emerald Dream and that whole area can be considered a revamped version of Darnassus and that whole area. Because that was all a contained area before, right? Off the coast of Darkshore. So, like, this is what I'm imagining now, is that, like, every starting area will get a Balameth-style revamp. And maybe Gilneas will give us a glimpse of what that could potentially look like. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's clear that they've got something along those lines planned out, and they feel comfortable enough to share those ideas with us already, because kind of to your point, when I got to get in on that group interview at BlizzCon, that was something that they talked about, was these revamping of these areas, and that they will probably be larger than what we're used to. And so it's the same thing, but it's got like a little bit more in it, or a little more on it, a little more shine on it. I can't remember exactly what they said or how they worded it, but I, for one, would take any part of Northrend again in a more form. Like, you want to give me more of a zone? Sure, I will take that. I mean, well, Borean Tundra maybe, but maybe that one I could leave off the list.
I can't help but wonder if, like, in the same way that Dragonflight has become the starting zone for Evokers and potentially Night Elves, if I'm correct. You know, I could be completely off base here, but I'm wondering, like, maybe if, like, you know, the War Within, some of the new zones there, maybe some of those areas could become new starting zones for some of the existing races. You know, I could see them doing, you know, something for Nightborn as well in that area, or maybe the allied races don't necessarily get a full-blown revamp, I don't know. But like Northrend, you could easily see like maybe some races that don't have a home right now, maybe they, they move to Northrend or something, I want to believe that Northrend we could also get new races too. Like people have been talking about Vrykul for ages. Man, there's just so much stuff to be excited about right now. The fact they've given us this roadmap.
I was gonna say this is all just a long con to get us the Vrykul. That's.
I hope so.
Oh man, I would race change just to then unrace change and then do it again just so I can have the pleasure of doing it twice. So with 10.2.5, we have Gilneas, we have the follower dungeons, we have this epilogue that's coming, and Bellamoth is going to be part of that. We also have one of the other big features, Dragon Riding, available worldwide, and I don't know. I think is this the hit of this expansion, Dragon Riding? Is this like it's been, what do we have that even compares to the impact that this edition has had to the game from an expansion? I mean, this is...
Dragon Riding's been incredible. Like, when you do, is it Tindril? I think it's Tindril, the boss in the current raid where you have to pick up a feather and go dragon riding. I was instantly thinking of the Nexus, the old Northrend dungeons where they were like, we're gonna put some flying here on dragons, and it was like this is what they wanted to do back then, and now 15 years later or whatever it is, they've achieved what they were going to do. And I think like it's also typifies what Blizzard say, like we want to make more evergreen systems to the game. We want to add to the game rather than do these borrowed power things every expansion, which or like transitory things like the Warfronts and the island expeditions. And now we've got Dragon Riding, the Professions revamp, which I think has had a, I think Professions could still do some more work, but that's had a pretty big impact on the game too. And there's I can't remember if this was data mined or if they actually said this outright at BlizzCon, but they want to bring sort of more involved riding to ground mounts as well. I think I saw at some point, like stamina for your ground mounts too.
I don't remember that.
I can't remember if it was like a slide at BlizzCon or data mined, but I think that's coming too. So they're gonna do that kind of pass on ground mounts as well. But I think it makes the game feel so much more tactile and more involved when you're traveling from place to place. I really love it. I love that feature.
Well, I can't wait to fly my time lost proto Drake dragon riding style from here to eternity. I mean, it just and I know that they said that they're gonna be working on adding mounts over time with the intention to have the vast majority of flying mounts that can do it, because they do need new animations. It is a whole different, I'm thinking of the old kind of static animations we have with some of the older mounts, and then you look at the very dynamic dragon riding animations where they're twirling and spinning and they're doing all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't think the original Griffin I bought 15 years ago can do any of that just yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm so glad that has worked out. And I remember all the way back when we first got a look at this in the early, alpha or beta testing, and any one of us got our hands on it, we're like, this is it. This is the jam. People have to see this. This is going to be a game changer, and it's probably the only thing I've ever guessed right that early in the development cycle. But outside of these fine additions, we have another public event. Do you do these public events? This one's going to be the Azerothian Archives, where there's going to be some various aspects to this, including, I want to say, excavation, techno scrying, which sounds pretty exciting, and if it doesn't involve Daft Punk, I may not be there, and other research. I gotta read. I don't know about that. Azerothian Archives or public events in general, do those do anything for you?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I've had a look over the rewards, the mounts and stuff. I'll do stuff for cool mounts and stuff, but the Azerothian Archives rewards don't seem that super cool, I guess. I mean, these events are usually great for rapidly gearing up mounts, because they'll usually come with a box at the end that has some random piece of gear in, right? Yeah. Or like they're useful if you're doing rep grinding, or you know, the weekly where it's like get so much rep or whatever and do one of the events activity. So usually I do it for that reason. I thought like time walking had way more rewards that I was interested in getting, but this Azeroth stuff's not that compelling to me. I don't know if you feel different there.
Yeah, it's to your point. There has to be some hook at the end that's got to be pretty good. A mount that I've really got to have, or some piece of transmog where I'm like, ooh, that is the jam. Somebody really went, the extra mile with that, or this and that. I've barely touched the public events, and that's maybe poor reflection on my own game time. And I get why they're doing it, and I think you're right on. A lot of it has to do with like catch up stuff. You see the gear and you're like, all right, jump in, get some catch up gear. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this one fares, because I know at least in Zerolek Cavern, they're like, yeah, we recognize that this one's not going very well. We're gonna try to do something different to get more people involved. And then they had, I don't know, Super Bloom and some other stuff going on in 10.2, and people seem to think it's okay, but I don't hear anybody raving about it. But maybe that's its place. Maybe it's not supposed to be some earth-shattering event. It's just some more content to do that's kind of fun and kill some time, get some rewards, and I don't know. Maybe it's the raider in me. It's always got to be either the world is ending or I'm saving it. Like I need high stakes. I think that's my problem. It has to be high stakes. So, in a nutshell, that's what we're looking at coming this week. The Dragon Isle Epilogues, Reclamation of Gilneas, Dragon Riding Worldwide, Follower Dungeons, Azerothian Archives. There's also going to be Outland Cup, so you're going to do some dragon riding out there. Not necessarily World of Warcraft related, but in the Warcraft family, there is a Hearthstone anniversary event on the calendar. I don't touch it, but to all of you who play Hearthstone, have fun.
I've played a bit of Hearthstone in my day.
Yeah?
And then I did like a couple of seasons and got like some of the cool rewards out of it, and then I was just like, I can't grind this every season, and it can get really expensive. They're quite generous with the card packs they give you and stuff. And I will say, if you want to play Hearthstone, like Hearthstone Battlegrounds is really, really fun, and it doesn't require it doesn't generally require buying loads of card packs and stuff, because you can't choose the cards. It like gives you random cards, and it's like this auto battler kind of thing, so you set up your strategy and stuff. The Hearthstone Battlegrounds is really, really cool. And I won a couple of games of that, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this game now.
I have heard that the Battlegrounds are the way to go. I think the homie Rommel gave me the 411 on that, and I might have tried a little bit, if I recall, at maybe at BlizzCon, but that's probably about it. So that's what we've got coming this week, and then after that, it starts to get a little more nebulous, especially with the first item that we have listed on our roadmap, which is just 10.2.6 and a skull and crossbones over a black flag. And
that is so weird.
As I go through this roadmap, I'm kind of looking essentially at, I feel like each one of these is kind of representing a month. So where Seeds of Renewal, January, 10.2.6, to me, I'm going to guess this is looking in the next month. Is this the pirate-themed expedition that everybody was pinning their expansion hopes on? Are we going somewhere and looting the booty, or is there going to be some other death? I mean, what does the skull and crossbones mean?
It's definitely pirates, I think.
Definitely
like the skull and crossbones on a matte black background, to me, says pirate flag.
100%.
But World of Warcraft has a Pirates Day, but it's on the 19th of September.
I was going to say, we already had that a few months ago.
Yeah, so it's my first thought was, oh, it's Pirates Day, but then I looked at the calendar and was like, hang on, that's not Pirates Day at all. So yeah, I have no clue whatsoever. Maybe I don't know, maybe they'll revamp Booty Bay and turn it into the Goblin starting area. Maybe. I don't know.
You know what? You might be onto something with this whole starting zone business.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Stranglethorn Vale fits the bill for, Kezan got, as we all know, got blown up by
Yeah.
by Deathwing, which is way far back in the storyline at this point. So players, new Goblin players will be like, "Oh yeah, Kezan, this is cool. Wait, who's that dragon? Oh, the dragon's gone now. What's going on?" So I think Yeah, I mean that's my dream. My dream would be Booty Bay revamped as the Goblin starting area with Stranglethorn Vale becoming the leveling area up to like level 40 or something. I don't know.
That is a hell of a dart to throw. I love it. That is
That's a
fantastic.
big old dart thrown there.
That's a big dart to throw. Yeah, I know that people are super excited about the pirate stuff. Friend of the show, Allie, she's like, I believe one of these people that I think if she could be a pirate, she would be like I don't think you'd want to actually be a pirate in real life because I've seen the pirates in real life and that shit was not good. And it currently is not good depending on where in the world you are. But a fantasy pirate where you're wearing the hat and you got the ship and you're doing the thing and you're singing sea shanties, and maybe that's where we're going. We're gonna get our own pirate ship and we're gonna sail it around the world and go into these many ports, and we'll collect treasure and a rowdy band of God knows what, and whatever it is, they love teasing it. They love throwing this tease out because everybody's putting eyeballs on this going, what is it? I don't know. They're being very cheeky. So I appreciate that we have a little bit of mystery there. So I'm gonna throw my own dart and say I think this is probably coming in the next month, and I'm gonna say we're gonna get our own pirate ship. Why not? Fuck it. We're gonna get our own ship. We're gonna sail the 7 seas of Azeroth. Then War Within Alpha. I mean, we know what the War Within is. So the War Within Alpha, my guess is, again, probably if they're saying between winter and spring, I'm going to say March, somewhere in March, maybe late February, somewhere in there. Again, I expect that you, sir, would get into the War Within Alpha. I think I'm kind of, I'll be lucky if I get in. I did get in on the last Alpha. But it's interesting to me that they're already putting that stake in the ground and saying, because we're going to get to it, is here's where the alpha we think is, here's where the beta is, we think, here's when the expansion is. Like, it really doesn't leave them a lot of room. I guess, there's some wiggle room because there's no dates, but do you think that they're risking too much by putting that flag out there already and saying, maybe February, March is according to this? We're looking at an alpha. Should they not have said anything, or do you think it's good that they're putting that stuff out already?
I mean, they've been pretty on form with hitting all of these deadlines. I know that recently, since Shadowlands, they revamped the way the team's structured. So I mean, they've always tried to do it this way, but they've really invested in sort of executing on the idea of developing patches and expansions in parallel, right? So there's always like a constant hose fire of content coming to the game. Yep. I wonder like to what extent that's affected the World of Warcraft's profitability and margin. As like, I'm sure I saw recently that World of Warcraft remains one of the most profitable games in the world.
Yeah.
And because when you've got people who are permanently subscribed forever, you can make
That's me.
Yeah, that's me too. You can make good assumptions about what your cash flow is going to be like, and then prioritize your investments really well, and that's why Microsoft loves Game Pass and subscription services and stuff, because it's guaranteed cash flow, right? So I think like if they are confident enough to be putting out these dates or this window, I suppose they're not like hard dates, they're like a window, like a landing strip. They've hit them all so far.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good thing, and this is like in a world where we've seen a lot of service games miss these targets. Like quite famously, Destiny's next expansion has been delayed months and months and months. Which is like. And World of Warcraft's had delays in the past, and it probably will in the future as well. But like, I think like I'm loving the transparency, man. I really am. Yeah. So I hope they keep doing it.
Yeah, it's again Dragonflight era. Maybe that's the behind dragon riding itself. It's the transparency and these roadmaps and all the stuff that we've seen that's come out of this era has been wonderful. And that leads us into season 4, because we are going to have a season 4, as some people had speculated, and it is looking like that faded season like we had back in Shadowlands, where we're revisiting the old raids and they're going to change some things up and add some new stuff. Right now, in fact, I believe the voting is still open, where you can vote for which of the tier set bonuses your class is going to get, your spec is going to get for season 4, and also I believe which transmog or which set appearance they're going to use for the armor set for season 4. Have you voted yet? Do you think this is a good way to go about this, or should they have come up with something different to keep you engaged?
I mean, I would personally I hope that they at least do a new tint or something. You know, I mean, it's not hard to color swap some assets. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an interesting experiment. I'm glad they are experimenting, I guess. I would have preferred a new tier set, of course, but
yeah,
you know, this is kind of like the epilogue kind of season, and I'm not even sure if I'm personally not even sure if I'm gonna stick around. I might try and hit my backlog during this season, because my backlog across Xbox and PC is just ridiculous. I still haven't finished Baldur's Gate. I still haven't finished Alan Wake 2, and all these kind of games that came out last year, like Lies of P, Wo Long, Fallen Dynasty. There's so many games I wanted to play that I just never got around to because of World of Warcraft, because of Diablo, because of Overwatch. I just bought Overwatch Battle Pass as well.
Oh,
and
Lord.
I'm just saying to myself, why am I doing this to myself? I finished Diablo Season 2 Season Journey last week, and it's I don't have time for all this stuff, Blizzard. But I do it anyway because I'm an addict.
You're clearing the deck so you can just play more Cyberpunk like me.
That too. I haven't finished the Cyberpunk DLC either, and I was really
Fan
excited
of Liberty,
about it.
baby.
I haven't finished it. But man, I can't remember what we were originally talking about.
The point that you're making though is a good one, because it is that lull where they have to think about. People are going to bail out. Subscriptions may dip, or playtime may dip because that main campaign is over. Their main raids are out, and now people are going to split off so they can finish Alan Wake 2 or finish, Baldur's Gate, or finish, whatever other games they have, or just take a break from gaming altogether, because I know plenty of people that do that too. Yeah. And so this sort of experiment that they seem to have landed on coming out of Shadowlands to say, all right, well, it's the stuff that you know, but it's not the way that you know it. You can try it in a different way. And I know for myself, I was a little disappointed that I appreciate the attempt to let us vote for the bonus that the tier set is going to have or whatever, but I didn't like any of mine. As a Fury Warrior, I thought all 3 of mine were underwhelming. Maybe I'm expecting too much, but I don't know. I was looking for something a little more exciting and something maybe a little more gameplay changing. I don't know, something. But none of them really hit the groove for me this expansion, so I was hoping for something a little bit more. But if anybody's interested, I believe the voting is still open for a couple more days, so you can get out there on the forums and vote your heart out for whatever you like. I think there's a separate one. Now I have to think about this with our global reach here. EU and North America or whatever, we have different ones. We have different forums that we have to vote on, I guess. So make sure that you vote on the right one, I guess. Season 4, probably spring-ish. I'm thinking maybe April. Gives us some time to screw around. And what they've got listed here is Dragonflight Raids Revisited, a new PvP season, which if you are new to the show, I don't ever talk about PvP. PvP is like a 4-letter word here, and it's probably the only one I don't use. If you want a PvP-related show, go listen to Technically PvP, part of the Bonus Roll Productions group. And you can listen to Garrasar and all of them, and they'll talk about PvP. New Mythic Plus season. I never do Mythic Plus either because I'm afraid of dungeons, because I'm a wuss. I know that you are a Keymaster, so...
I am.
You're now we have somebody to hold up that end of the thing on the show. So I really appreciate you putting in all the hard work. So we have some representation of the Mythic Plus crew on Unshackled Fury.
Well, dude, it's like this season's been like really easy. I kind of feel like compared to other seasons. I've never hit Keystone Master before. I've got Keystone Hero a few times.
There you go.
But Keystone, this is the first time I've ever hit Keystone Master, and I think because it's been the set bonuses are so powerful this season that it's made things a lot smoother for runs, and also some of the class changes they've done, and you can see it reflected in the numbers. There's been more Mythic Plus runs this season than there was in season 1.
Wow.
You know, and I haven't seen that for a long time, where the expansion seems to have been more active over time than less active. And part of that could be like, you know, players were still leveling up in season 1 maybe, or something. And maybe there's more players at max level now in season 3, and that overall maybe the player base is smaller. But that sort of that community that does Mythic Plus has been more active than they were in season 2 and season 1. Much more active than season 2. Like season 2 seemed to be quite unpopular. Like if you look at the graphs after see posts on Reddit. But yeah, this season's been really fun. You know, nothing's been too crazy hard. There hasn't been any dungeons. I mean, they've nerfed some of them now, but no dungeon has stood out as being particularly egregiously ridiculous in terms of tuning. Like, and they also threw in some new ones, like Throne of the Tides got revamped a little bit with new features, and which was nostalgic and cool at the same time.
Yeah, that's an old one.
Yeah, I've loved this season. I really have. This has probably been my favorite season in WoW for a really, really long time, I think.
Look at that. Loved it so much he decided to join a podcast. My God, that is the power of this season alone. Unbelievable. So coming out of season 4, we have another kind of little mysterious marker on the map here. Patch 10.2.7, they're calling it Dark Heart. That's the title for it. And the items listed here. So looking at spring, I don't know, late-ish spring. I'm going to guess sometime around May. Time running, Pandemonium. Harbinger quests, Troll and Draenei heritage armor. Those are always fun. And a new holiday event. What do you make of this? Do you think we're going to something ridiculous related to Pandaria for time running? What is time running? What does this look like? Does this pique your interest? What's got your brain going on that one?
I'm not a huge fan of time walking, like personally. Because I don't really, you know, I don't play WoW Classic either. I'm kind of someone who wants new content, wants to see fresh content and stuff like that. So I generally don't do time walking. So if it is like a Mists themed time walking event, I mean, that's kind of cool. A lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for Mists, and I think a lot of people regard it now. I mean, at the time, I remember people complaining a lot about Mists, but like as time goes on, like a lot of people leave the game permanently. You're kind of left with people who did enjoy it. So now there's like a lot of nostalgia and positivity about Mists of Pandaria that I didn't really get that sense existed back when it came out.
Yeah. I remember when they announced it, my buddy was with me and I was like, that's it, I quit. Pandas, I'm not doing this. There's no way. This is ridiculous. And and the way that it has survived, when you ask people to kind of rank, you know, where do you rank greatest expansions of all time? It ranks very high. And yeah, maybe they want to dump us back there to, I don't know. Maybe we'll be racing through the valley, and you know, we'll be pushing like wheelbarrows or something ridiculous. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's got to be big enough to get a name drop on the banner here. Pandemonium. First thing I thought of was Diablo. I was like, oh shit, Malthael's back.
It's calling it Pandemonium is kind of cheesy for WoW. I almost feel like. So maybe it's just kind of like throwing us off the scent and making us think that it's something to do with pandas. But I almost feel like WoW wouldn't do that. You know, like do something that sort of on the nose punny. Yeah. But I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Maybe it is some kind of, I don't know, Diablo event, you know, because I suppose it could line up with a new Diablo season. But who knows, man? Who knows?
Then we've got everybody's favorite Naifu, I guess. Xal'atath all over the place. We came out of BlizzCon. All the fan art was going wild. Everybody loves Xal'atath. And we're going to have something called Harbinger Quests, which I'm going to assume has something to do with not the resurgence, but the reappearance of this character. I think we saw her shadowy shape when Iridikron jumped through that voidy portal and was like, peace out. I'll see you guys later. And we know that Xal'atath plays this integral part in this arc that is coming, that confirm that she is the Harbinger that people have referenced to in the past. And so this would appear to me to be like that first bit of breadcrumb questing business that's going to take us from Dragonflight to the War Within.
Yeah.
I don't know how substantive, because it's a 10.2.7. It's a little one of these little sub patches, and I wonder is this going to be 5 quests and like, oh, this is Xal'atath, or do you think that this might have like a little bit more substance to it?
I think like it probably will be a Xal'atath themed thing that bridges. It's interesting because they usually do this. They have some kind of event, don't they, to bridge expansions, right? So I guess it could be that. Whereabouts does that sit in the timeline that I'm looking at now?
So it's like late spring.
Late spring. Oh, Harbinger Quest. Yeah. So yeah, I suppose it could be like that.
It's right before the beta starts for the War Within.
Yeah. I'm guessing it bridges the gap. So, I mean, yeah, I'm for it. I mean, Xal'atath. I kind of love Xal'atath, right? Because.
So explain. All right. So explain this to me then, because I have seen just the outpouring of love for this character. Maybe it's because I didn't have the artifact. I didn't play through that quest line or like other related material. But what is it about Xal'atath that is so enthralling to everybody?
Well, I actually haven't played through the priest quest line in Legion either, and it's something I want to do because I want to understand that aspect of it as well. Yeah. But what I love about it is that like Xal'atath presents as this like kawaii void elf kind of character, and you just know at the end of this quest she's going to reveal herself to be this absolutely hideous tentacle freak monster, and she's gonna be like a disgusting writhing mass of teeth.
Hideous tentacle freak monster. I love
it. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be like the most epic bait and switch, and like people are like, oh, Xal'atath, my waifu, and then she's going to be this just awful held spawn from the another universe, another plane of existence.
Oh,
a
God.
chthonic mass of writhing teeth and tentacles. It's going to be amazing.
Well, that fan art's going to change in a hard direction.
Oh yes, I think so. It's kind of like in Terminator 2, when like he's fighting. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's like in his police uniform form,
Robert
and then
Patrick.
Robert Patrick, and then like over the course of the fight, they're plugging him with all kinds of things like shotguns and explosions, and like over the course of the fight, he loses control of his sort of visage form and sort of devolves into this quivering mass of blades, and I kind of imagine like in my head it's like Xal'atath, like as we chasing her through the expansions, we'll eventually see more and more of her true form until she is just this N'Zoth kind of thing. But
I was gonna say that's what you're gonna end up with, is people holding their N'Zoth waifu pillows.
Yeah, man, I love N'Zoth. I love the old gods, and I really love the old gods. I love the whole lore around them, and I love that stuff. So anything old god related, I'm totally down for. No idea what kind of form it's going to take though.
Yeah.
It sits on top of Troll and Draenei Heritage Armor too for Darkheart.
Yeah. Which it's probably about time. I'm curious to see how they handled the Troll Heritage Armor questline, because over the years there has been such a spotlight on how that race in Warcraft has been handled and sort of the influences for it and what they end up doing with that. I know there's going to be a lot of a lot of critical lenses looking at that one, so it'll be curious to see how that one unfolds. And Draenei, I just assume it's going to be what's his face from the Burning Crusade intro cinematic, the Justicar, whatever his name is, the Vindicator Murad. That's it. That it's just going to be his armor, which, as a plate wearer, I would love that. Not gonna lie, I think that'll be fantastic. And then a holiday event, a new holiday event in the late spring. What could that be?
Holiday event. Well, it's late spring. It could be like something that lines up with the equinox, with sun equinox, early the summer equinox. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now.
Something new and fun. It'll be more pandemonium. What a pandemonium event. And that leads us into the War Within beta, and then officially transitioning into the War Within pre-patch, where we're going to get our war bands, and there'll be some world events, dynamic flight they talk about, and other guild updates coming in that pre-patch. They seem to list that early summer, so to me that looks probably like June, or a pre-patch in like July, with War Within launching around August would be the sort of dart I would throw on that, leading us into possibly the War Within content update they list in autumn, maybe being October, with that 20th anniversary event in November. That seems to be about the flow that we're looking at. Like the back half of the year is really going to be dominated with War Within content, from pre-patch all the way up to whatever looks like a half patch. 11.0.5 will be the story and quest, some other next stuff that we get leading up to the 20th anniversary event. And as we've come out of the BlizzCon cycle, because you and I did talk about War Within, and we talked about BlizzCon and the big announcements and stuff like that. From what we've seen since, is there anything else that you want to touch on that you're excited about with War Within? Something that you're curious about that we've maybe not seen enough of, or they haven't talked about yet? As we start to get into that delicate area where the alpha starts coming out and we start seeing some things, are there some items that pique your interest or you want to see more about?
Man, I think hero talents could be a really cool addition. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier. But I love that they're sort of drip feeding them. I'm like, show me the warlock ones. Show me the warlock ones. And I just know, in the past when they've done this before, it kind of feels like at the time I'm always playing a class that gets their reveal last. Yeah, so
that's how I always feel as a warrior. I was shocked we got ours first. I was shocked, genuinely. I was like, holy shit, this must be a fluke.
What are you talking about? Warriors are like Blizzard's favorite pet class, bro.
Oh my god. Everybody feels like they're the redheaded stepchild, and I'm telling you, vanilla, it's us.
Man. It's always been Warriors since day one. Blizzard's favorite class. What are you talking about?
Oh my god, we can't even win our own plate poll. I was over there on Twitter the other day, and they're like, pick a class, and it was Warriors, Paladins, and Death Knights, and we were fucking last. I'm like, how dare all of you ban all these people? This is 70% of the people responding to this poll need to be banned for life. This is terrible.
Well, Death Knight's basically just spicy warrior, isn't it?
Yes, and then
Paladin's like sugary sweet
finger warrior. I mean, come on. Give me a break.
And the hero talents, man. I'm super stoked about what they could do. I mean, for some classes, there's more lore around them potentially than others. Like like for warrior, you got Mountain King stuff and Avatar stuff, which is straight out of Warcraft 3, right? Yeah. But like with Warlock, I'm just kind of like, well, what can they really do? That all the sort of lore, the sort of warlocky kind of spells and the lore-ish kind of warlock stuff, Demon Hunters stole all that from us. So now it's kind of like they've got to figure out something kind of new-ish for warlocks, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of demons that we haven't really been able to summon freely. I mean, we get like a mini pit lord on the Nether Portal cooldown, which nobody uses because it's so clunky still. And it's so awkward to pull off because you have to stand still for like 14 seconds. Who can do that? Which class can do that, really? It's a nasty talent. So I'm kind of like, I'm kind of wondering like what new demons are they going to let me be able to summon. I've played demonology since Wrath basically, so I'm like intrigued. Like, are they going to let me summon this demon or that demon? There's tons of demons that haven't been summonable before, so that's interesting to think about. I suppose you already know what you're getting, but are there any other hero talents or War Within features you're particularly excited about? Obviously new lore and the new zones, and being underground is going to be interesting, I think.
That is going to be such an interesting experiment, because they really feel like they've got it kind of figured out tech wise, and then sort of environmental feel wise, if you follow me, where Zaralek Cavern proved that we could go surface, subsurface without a loading screen. Let's just bomb all the way through. And to be able to do that through multiple zones, I assume the way that this was presented in the War Within, we're going through several zones from surface level, pretty much close to the core of the planet or Azeroth or whatever, just bombing all the way down via dragon riding, because we'll probably need to get up around a few turns. So just the ability to do that will be such a different approach than sort of, just the regular going across a map and kind of, going around, more in those directions. But then trying to make it feel like we're not underground the whole time, which with Hollowfall, they seem to have figured out with like the big crystal that they're going to have up there. And it certainly does look like you're out in daylight, and then it's going to go all voty and weird shit's going to happen to it, I guess, to make like a nighttime
It's going to be super unique. I think that with the big crystal through the ceiling, like, it looks so innovative. I can't think of I'm sure there are some kind of inspirations they've taken, because everything's kind of recycled. But I personally have never seen anything like that, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And I'm also someone I was really excited about the going to Ajal Narub, because we went there in Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
And then Wrath, they were like, yeah, you're going to get to go to Ajal Narub. And then they cut that area from the game and turned it into a dungeon or something. I can't remember exactly how that all went down.
It was split, but yeah, we were supposed to have like that whole zone, and you could see that there was a hell of a lot more down there.
Yeah, we got robbed, man. We got robbed. So I kind of feel like they're giving me my childhood back, kind of. I had therapy about losing that zone. And Blizzard's come back. Blizzard's come back and fixing everyone's unresolved issues.
I was gonna say they're gonna help you cut down on your therapist bills just by letting you, go play with some spider folk in the dungeon for a little while, because it's gonna be pretty gnarly down there. And as somebody who doesn't like the bugs and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure it's gonna have me going. But I think the Arathi, the addition of them into the story and kind of getting to know this lost group that's been down there doing probably some not cool, like anytime I see like super paladin stuff, it always makes me nervous. This sort of crusader, hyper religious kind of vibe always makes me nervous in these sorts of settings.
These are guys who probably remember the troll wars very strongly. Yeah. And I can't help but feel like, because in the Forsaken Heritage questline, it's all about the Scarlet Crusade again, and the Gilneas storyline is about the Scarlet Crusade again. So part of me's wondering, like, are these guys gonna be somehow related to the Scarlet Crusade? Are they gonna link up with the Scarlet Crusade? Because the Scarlet Crusade just seems to be, immune to ever being fully destroyed. How many times must we teach you this, old man? Oh my god!
There's always the one that's hiding out there somewhere. It's like the little ember that lights the flame once again, and so we're always kind of trying to stamp them out. But yeah, I mean, you could very well see a connection there, and how that plays out, I think, will be very interesting. But as anybody knows that's been listening to the show, the number one thing, just to see more about the story. I fight, wave a magic wand type stuff. I would love a cinematic series with Anduin, like what they did with Sourfang. To be able to go through that journey more deeply, bring in more characters, not just focus on him, but to bring other characters into, that relationship with Thrall, as that continues on. I would love to see more of that in that cinematic vein, because I'm Alliance hardcore through and through, but that Sour Fang series is the shit. I mean, that is just unbelievable the way that they told that. And so to bring that back, I think would be phenomenal. But to be able to see that story play out, really excited. And then 20th anniversary event, before we move off this roadmap. 20th anniversary, that's a big deal. They've been hyping it up already, that it's going to be something big, something special. Certainly in game, we're going to be doing something, and I assume out of game, there's a BlizzCon around that time, I would think. What do you think would be an appropriate way to celebrate the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft? Is there something that you think they do in game or out of game that would be an appropriate marking of this occasion?
It's got to be like epic. If it was me, right, and I know budgets and constraints and stuff like that, I would literally just give Horde and Alliance a new allied race each. It's the 20th, man. You got to do something epic for this stuff. Yeah. I would give I don't know, give Alliance Rykal. They've been asking for it for a million years. Give Horde ogres.
There you go.
I've been wanting that for a million years.
That's it.
I wanna since that it's Duskwallow Marsh, isn't it? There's a Horde camp of little ogres living there, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a two-headed ogre warlock, man. I've wanted that since forever, and Blizzard won't let me do it. So if it was me, and if I was in charge, I would be like, it's the 20th anniversary. We've got to go hard for this. Not more than just a little mount. We've got to go hard. Give everyone an extra allied race.
Yeah.
I think that'd be absolutely awesome. But it's probably going to be lame. It's going to be a toy. It's going to be a
banner.
A mount. It's going to be a recolor of some mount. Yeah. So.
Could you imagine? It's the 20th anniversary. Here's a recolor of something you already have 5 of. Oh my god!
It's gonna be the Deathwing mount with the number 20 stamped onto his arse or something.
He's got a big gold chain with a 20 hanging off of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Budget constraints, I think, might be kind of the thing, because I think back to when they had those statues that they sent out. I think of the orc statue of people who'd had a consistent subscription for however many years that was. I thought that was really cool, and I'm sure that they knew that the numbers on that were relatively small, so they could contain those costs. But the problem I thought with that was, I think I'd missed it by 2 years, but by that point I'd still been playing consistently with not a lapse in my subscription for almost a decade, and I'm like, and there's nothing for me. So I feel like, if you do something physical like that, it'll leave a lot of people out if it's based on a time or a certain amount of time played or something like that. But I think that a surprise, like a new race, I think that's a great thing, or freeing up some sort of restriction that exists, I don't know, not some kind of armor restriction or something like that, in game, some way to celebrate, hey, we can all enjoy something. But out of game, I think they're going to invite people to an event, and they'll rent out, I don't know, the Staples Center in downtown LA, and everybody can go down there, and they're gonna have the Viking Dog food truck and a bunch of other vendors, and they're gonna give out free stuff, and it'll be like BlizzCon for the masses that can't afford a regular BlizzCon. That'll be the dart that I'll throw on that one. But it's exciting. 20 years. When we get there, it's gonna be a big fucking deal, and super excited about that. And before we jump away from the roadmap and get into our last item for this first episode of the new era, do you agree or disagree that Cataclysm is not classic?
Ooh, that's spicy. I kind of agree, actually. Yeah. And I'm someone who quite liked Cataclysm back in the day. I
Yeah.
really liked the first wave of dungeons. I loved how hard it was. Because it was way...
People were mad. They were hard.
People were mad because
Mad.
one thing that I didn't like about Wrath was how easy the dungeons had become, and this is before Mythic Plus was a thing. You know, I think
we were just chain running those fuckers. I mean,
yeah,
it
you
was
just
crazy.
run through, spamming Arcane Explosion, and all the dungeons became pointless. And then like what they did was they released 3 new dungeons around Icecrown Citadel, which were quite a little bit. They were a step up in difficulty,
cool.
if I remember. Yeah, and they were really cool. So it was like, okay, so they've heard people that these dungeons were dumb and easy, and now they're going to make more difficult dungeons, because this was before like scaling or Mythic Plus or keys was even conceptualized, right? So like when Cataclysm came out and dungeons, I loved Grim Batol, man. Grim Batol
I was gonna say Grim Batol. That's like the poster child of the one I remember.
Yeah, I love that dungeon. Like it was grim, and it was giving me nostalgia of Blackrock Depths even back then. You know, it was like, this is exactly what I want, and it was brutal. It was so hard. The last boss was like insane. You know, you had to be really on your game to do it, and yeah, maybe it was a little bit too hard, because people have gotten so used to how easy Wrath was. They ran headfirst into this wall that was Cataclysm, where Blizzard tried to claw it back a little bit and make it sort of like people had to coordinate and use crowd control again. And people, there was uproar about it. So I was like, I really enjoyed it too, and I loved the raid and Nefarian and Nixia. I was main tanking then. I actually quite enjoyed Firelands as well, and you know, Dragon Soul too. I mean, the cadence of the content delivery was iffy back then, but that's something they can fix with classic version, right? But at the same time, having said all that, and the nostalgia I have for Cataclysm, it's kind of like I don't really consider it to be classic. And
No.
I do think,
Thank you.
yeah, I do think this is where Blizzard's going to hit a wall and discover that maybe there's a limit on how much recycling you can do from this classic stuff. I mean, in 15 years, are we going to get Shadowlands Classic? Are we going to get
Exactly.
I don't know.
Where does it end?
Yeah, where does it end? And I know it's a good excuse to, you know, get people in, and clearly there must be enough people who want it. Otherwise, I don't think they do it. Like if there are like hundreds of thousands of people who are looking forward to that experience of going from Wrath into Cataclysm and reliving that experience again, and there's enough people doing it, I think it's a good thing. But at the same time, I do wonder who's going to be really excited for Cataclysm Classic, and then like Mists Classic, and then Warlords of Draenor Classic.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just silly.
Every expansion is nostalgic for someone, but it's sort of like as you get further into it, I think there's going to be less. Shadowlands Classic, I just cannot see ever happening. I cannot see that ever. You know, Mr. Pandaria Classic, kind of weirdly, probably even more so makes sense than Cataclysm Classic, but you can't do Mist Classic without Cataclysm Classic. So, I think I think Mists Classic is realistically where that train ends. Personally, but I could be wrong, you know. I mean, if there's enough people doing it, then you know, I'm not gatekeeping the fun, and it is potentially relatively easy for them to, you know, cheap and relatively easy for them to accomplish. What excites me about Classic, and this is, I imagine, you know, you got thoughts on this too, but is Season Discovery. I love what they're doing with that, because that's something classic but new and fresh.
Yes.
You know? And I love this idea. I love how tight the level caps are, you know. And I'm not someone who's really gone into it yet, because I barely have time to play retail. Right. But like, I love how the level caps are sort of quite aggressive, because it's kind of like, well, this is season 1, it goes up to this level. Season 2, it goes up to this level. I can totally see them doing like, you know, the Burning Crusade season discovery, and then into Wrath season discovery, and progressing it like that. I love that they're experimenting with that kind of stuff, which puts a new twist on the classic content. I don't, but just re-releasing Cataclysm how it was and re-releasing Mist as it was is not as compelling to me. So I don't know if you feel differently though.
Well, I always go back to the whole reason this whole classic thing started was because you had a bunch of renegades with pirate servers that were trying to recreate the old days because you couldn't access that anymore. And they got sued into oblivion or whatever it was. And so they went down. That was the whole "you think you do, but you don't" meme and all that stuff. And that's why they brought it back, was because people wanted that original, mostly unadulterated experience of the original vanilla classic, whatever we call it, World of Warcraft. And it was primarily born, if I recall, because when Cataclysm happened, it changed the world. There was now the old world and now the Cataclysm world, where a bunch of shit had changed and people didn't like it. So now to then bring in that point in time to classic, it's like you just undermine the whole damn thing because you can't go back. Now what? So yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to keep pushing this, Mist has got to be the end. And then, I don't know, just make a different version. You want classic? Here's classic. You want Burning Crusade? Here's Burning Crusade. You want Wrath? Here's Wrath. I know that segments the population of the player base, and they don't want people to be like that split up. But man alive, if they get to Warlords of Draenor or Classic, I'm just going to quit. It's ridiculous. They shouldn't be doing that. The Season of Discovery, I think you're right. That is the way to go. Trying something new with the old. That's the way to do it. And people seem to be really happy about it, and it has proven to be wildly popular. So we're running a little bit long on time for this first foray into the new year and new era. So I'm going to push our Trading Post ratings to the next episodes. You'll still get the January Trading Post ratings, folks. Don't freak out. Don't write me a bunch of hate mail. Or, I mean, you can if you want to, but they're still coming. So don't worry. We're going to make it happen. But otherwise, I think we've done enough damage for one episode. And I want to thank the new co-hosts, the man himself, Jez Corden, for taking a risk and jumping aboard this train. And hopefully, now that we're stepbrothers already via our technological marriage of our families and our love of cyberpunk and everything else, and World of Warcraft most of all. So the opportunity to create something new, really appreciate it, and really happy to have you aboard. And I hope all of you enjoy this as well. And for those who don't already know, where can the good people find you on the internet, Jez?
Yeah, so you can mostly find me on, Twitter and Threads at Jez Corden, JezCorden, or JEZ, as presumably primarily American audience would know it as. But yeah, I just I cover Microsoft. So like my job is I'm a Microsoft covering journalist. Cover Windows, Surface, general tech, Xbox. And now Activision Blizzard, since that's part of Microsoft, is part of my job now to cover this stuff. So thanks so much, dude, for taking me on. And I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's so hyped talking about, because my girlfriend doesn't like WoW, my friends don't like WoW, so I'm just like brimming with this. Oh my god, look at this cool thing that I did, and like nobody cares. Nobody I know cares. So this is really hype. So thanks for having me on, man.
Well, this will be the place where you can save it all up and let it all out. So yes, happy to have you aboard, and thanks for taking the risk. And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our bonus roll page. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources or unshackledfury.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.